Welcome in, Bleav in Commanders podcast on the day they call the legal tampering period, which is just really a better way to say it's the day that contracts get done. Scott, Jackson, Anthony Armstrong here with you, part of the Bleav Network, and of course we are brought to you by FanDuel. And I'll tell you what, Anthony, you got to feel like you were in the wrong generation as you watch these numbers flying in today. My goodness.
My goodness is right. I've been working out too because I seen Phillip Rivers got hired. I was like, shoot,
sure, why not?
Might take a 40-something-year-old receiver, right? Darrell Green still has some speed. Maybe old Armstrong still has a little bit of something and can bring some value to a roster. So once all of these contracts fall into place, holla at your boy, man. Holla at me. Maybe I'll be able to come out there, get you a couple games, man. So, this has been an eventful free agency period, and we got to give you a shout out. W to Scott Jackson for saying, hey, let's push back the kickoff time because obviously there's going to be news that drops, and hey, we've waited. And I mean, the Commanders wise, Laremy Tunsil, we'll start with that. Laremy Tunsil is re-signing. He's coming back. Yes, 2-year deal. The big money. So he's got the largest signing bonus for an offensive lineman. I think it's like $31.2 million, something along those lines. So big money to stay here and protect good old Jayden Daniels. And then they've also picked up Amik Robertson, cornerback from the Detroit Lions. They're bringing him over. And what was the stat you had about him, his matchup with the Vikings?
Yeah, so last 2 seasons ago when, of course, the Commanders played the Lions in the playoffs in their divisional round, the Lions, of course, had to win that last game, you may remember, to play the Commanders to be that, have that seed, that number 2 seed. And in that game, Amik Robertson, was matched up with Justin Jefferson. Pretty frequent in that game. There were 7 attempts to him. I just had 3 catches for 55 yards. So he got a game ball after that game, and he gave this great quote about, you can't keep down somebody who came from, he was, keep it clean here, from effing dirt. Anyway, so, and it was something the Lions apparently used that season. But anyway, he was, like last year, he's some up and down. He played inside, he played outside. He played with a club on his hand at one point too, as well. But again, not the guy who was real high on everybody's chart in terms of free agency, but obviously somebody that Durante Jones has seen enough of being in that division. I would imagine is a pretty good file on what he thinks he can do with him. So he comes in, and that's really the one outside signing at this point. As we started taping here just a little bit after 2:00 Eastern, and obviously who knows, by the time you see this, it might all be dated in that regard. But we'll just react to what we can react to now, and we'll come back in another day and do some more. But I think the Tunsil thing is obviously the headliner for the Commanders. They said they didn't want another Terry McLaurin situation, and to get that done, to clear out that drama is big. I think that was an important thing to do. And now you got him and Josh Connerly locked up on the other side through 2028. So both your tackles are locked up through 2028. Obviously, they still got a lot of holes to fill here, and we'll see. We'll see where they find these players, because again, a lot of the people, as you often see in free agency, start falling off the board right away, right? Whoever your top 50, 100. I mean, Alec Pierce never even got to the market. Man. I mean, and he got paid like a 1, and now he is a 1 because they traded their 1, Michael Pittman, to the Steelers shortly after that.
Man, Alex Pierce, I can say congratulations to you, young man. 4 years, $116 million. I ain't even mad at you, Playboy. I'm glad you got your check. Yeah. And then I'm glad that Washington didn't get in with that. Apparently they were in the mix, but hey, man, 4 years, $160 million. They played the game right. They drove the price up, and you don't even have to pay for moving or anything like that. So that's exciting. But man, I'm really glad we I say dodged a bullet just for the fact that that's just a lot of money, and there's still some things that you got to do. So hopefully he lives up to it. Right, that's what Indianapolis is rolling the dice on. Now they got to figure out. Daniel Jones says he wants $50 million a year. So they got to figure out how they pay that guy. Now he's on this transition tag. I would say another person that was on a lot of people's list at tight end, Isaiah Likely. He is going there to the Giants. He's following John Harbaugh, so he's off the list. Sure. Dan Graziano had some players that were slated to head to. He projected them to come here. Kenneth Walker not going. He's going to Kansas City. Jalen Phillips, he ain't coming. He's going to Carolina, 4 years, $120 million. Are you sad about any of those guys, Scott?
Well, I'm happy that Jalen Phillips is at least not staying in Philly, right?
Yeah.
I would rather have him in Washington than Carolina, but I'm glad he's not staying in Philly. Yeah, Kenneth Walker, that would have been a nice fit. Algiers going to Arizona. I didn't really see him as much. He was more of a down-the-list kind of guy for me. ETN to the Saints, I think, would have been a good fit. Rashad White's the guy that's still out there as we speak that is intriguing to me for Washington. I think it's going to be difficult, as we talked about it more last week, to get, again, Jeremiah Love at 7, and I think you might have to move into the top 5 to grab him, but maybe we'll be proven wrong there. The one thing that you're noticing here, again, you're paying a premium on day one as you always do. I mean, Linderbaum, set the center market, 3 years, $81 million, $60 million of which is guaranteed to the Raiders. The Raiders have also just gone in on Jalen Naylor, who some people thought might be a fit to Washington, 3 years, $35 million, 23 of which is guaranteed. I mean, the receiver money's silly. I mean, Jahan Dotson got a $17 million deal, from the Falcons just a little while ago. So Wan'Dale Robinson got $70 million over 4 years to the Titans. So there is a lot of things happening quickly in this receiver market. And, Mike Evans is still out there, your guy. And we had talked about this a few weeks ago, or last week, I should say, whether that would make sense. Well, now, he's among the top guys. He's really pretty much it in terms of people, what you're getting into there. Apparently, he has been telling people he has one offer. His agent's been telling people already at the $27 million per year territory. And look, Washington's got a ton of cap space. We've talked about it a lot. Will they spend it there? Could they pull him in? I think Buffalo's probably a team that's trying to get Mike Evans in. Has been mentioned with them as well. So it will be fascinating to see where he ends up. But he's somebody that apparently is ready to go ahead and leave Tampa if the opportunity is right, and which has surprised me a little bit. I kind of thought he'd be one of these guys like Kelsey, like Pierce, that today has fallen off never really left, but never really got on the market, so to speak. But he's out there right now, so we'll see what happens.
You think he's just yelling loud, when you're mad at
maybe
your girl, and you're like,
maybe.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna leave then.
Yeah, maybe. Right.
I'm out of here. And
right.
I got my keys. And
exactly.
You hope like, man, come on back in the house. You're like, okay, cool. Thank you. I didn't want to go anywhere. I was talk about Jeremiah Love. You mentioned him. Man, like Kenneth Walker going to Kansas City. So there's no love in KC.
Yeah.
ETN going to New Orleans. So there's no love down there as well. He may fall out of the top 10. I mean, shoot, if we don't need to.
Wow, I don't know about that. I think Tennessee's still very interesting because you got to help that quarterback, right? You got to help that young quarterback still. I mean, Arizona signing Algier. Does that really take him out of it? I know they redid Connor's deal. That would seem like a real heavy investment in that position. So maybe not, but I don't know, man. It still feels like it's going to take a lot for him to fall to Washington. And again, if they don't do anything at the defensive end position or on defense, and the rest of free agency, maybe that's becomes more of the priority for them in terms of the best player available. Now, I do want to remind people, as we're just hours into this thing, it's just day one, man. Like there is like a whole bunch of and I get it. You heard about the top names. You heard this team is going to be aggressive. Well, they might be being aggressive, but they're just, again, getting outbid. I mean, that's some crazy money. I mean, there's market-setting money for Lindenbaum, and again, with the Pierce money, I feel like we've all kind of come to the conclusion they might have been fortunate that they dodged that one, so to speak. Because, I mean, that just seemed like just a way big of an overpay there.
That is true. Now, I will say this. If I had to pick between Pierce, Evans, or Shaheed, or if I would,
Shaheed's still out there. Yeah,
Shaheed is still out there. So if I had to go Pierce or Shaheed, give me Shaheed because that gives me the consistent deep speed, and it's going to give me special teams being a play that people have to worry about every single time. Frankly, there's nothing that says that you couldn't do both. Getting Mike Evans and getting Rashid Shaheed, if you get Evans on a short, couple year deal, and then you give Shaheed obviously maybe like a 3-year deal, obviously it'll be a little bit more money over a little bit more time, but you could get both and then check both boxes. But that was just a lot to invest in Pierce. You know what I mean? There's just a lot to invest in him from the Commander standpoint in my eyes, but. it seems like this thing changes so much. I feel like I don't want to ask you who's your favorite free agent that's left because we might say a name and they're gone. But because I mean, I'm looking at Reek Woolen is a cornerback that's still out there that they're pointing towards the Commanders. We mentioned Isaiah Likely was gone now, so what tight end are they going to be potentially looking at? I don't know, man. This is so exciting, and I know whenever we used to play Madden dynasties. Franchise, I should say, and then we'd all coordinate, say, hey, get on at this time because free agency is open. And we'd be throwing in offers and bumping up numbers, and this is how fast they'd be coming up. But, man, this is exciting for me. A couple of the big names, we didn't mention these moves. These weren't free agency pickup. Dallas traded for Rashawn Gary for a 20.
Who apparently was going to be cut. So good move, Dallas. Thank you for saving the Packers from cutting him.
Yeah, right. They went ahead and skipped the line. They liked that pipeline. So they went back up there with the Chiefs, do another deal. Minkah Fitzpatrick stays within the division. He goes to the New York Jets. I mean, that's a smart move. Right now,
they need someone.
Really,
they can
focus up. They can really go back and focus on that front, rebuild that front, maybe at number 2 overall. And then big news, Tua will be released. Miami's finna eat $99 million of bad fish. Holy smokes. That's
and they're going to give Malik Willis, 60 plus, right? And then they'll throw the Malik Willis deal on him.
Yeah. My gosh, dude. My gosh. That sucker there robbed the bank.
100%. Yeah, I guess there's some early reports that Tua, the Falcons and Tua. So you'd have 2 lefty quarterbacks there with him and obviously Michael Penix. And and Penix with his injury happening so late, probably not likely to start the season. So that will be probably a good guy you could know that could start for you right away, and then you kind of see how it plays out from there. Obviously, everybody's waiting.
Of quarterbacks, the shortest division of quarterbacks outside of Tyler Shuck. I mean, you got Baker's like 6 foot, Bryce Young about 6 foot. You throw Tua in the mix. He's 5'10", you know what I mean? Golly, you can't see nobody, little man.
Yeah.
Oh wow, what a crazy.
Back in the day, Drew Brees was in that division.
That is true. That is true.
Back in the day, that was Drew Brees' division. So it is the short quarterback division. To drive home your point, there are again a lot of big names still out there. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson is still on the market. Be interested to see what happens there. Coming off what we saw Max Crosby fetch over the weekend from Baltimore with those 2-1s. Looking back and in real time last year, we talked a lot about it during what was going on with the Commanders offseason. The Hendrickson thing, I never understood why the Bengals didn't trade him, instead of doing what they did, which was a complete disaster. They should have had him on the market last year. They would have gotten a lot of draft capital, maybe not 2 1s, but they would have gotten a 1 and another pick, or at least maybe a 2 and some other picks. They totally misplayed this thing, and then they're going to lose him for a compensatory next year, whatever that ends up being, or this year, whatever they get it, if they lose enough free agency. But it just seemed so silly to hold on to him, and then of course he barely played this past season.
Man, it just builds on how they handled, their first round pick last year, right? He almost went back to college,
right?
That's
exactly.
I don't know. Do we need to pull up the NFLPA grade? I think they ranked down at the bottom once again, but
they were really bad. Yeah.
Hey,
they didn't do too good. No surprise.
Hopefully they address the offensive line for Joe Burrow's sake this upcoming season, because how they handle the Trey Hendrickson, like I totally understand. Like, you're trying to keep the player, you're trying to keep the good people on your team, but if the relationship isn't working, then find a way to get past it, right? Find a way to keep on rolling. But I don't know. They didn't make it happen. This is Bleav in Commander Anthony Armstrong, Scott Jackson over there. We are brought to you by FanDuel, and I mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. Over on FanDuel, Super Bowl odds are there, and the Super Bowl odds have been updated after the Rams made the trade with the Chiefs to pick up Trent McDuffie, who signed for a lot of money. So right now it's a tie for favorites. They put the Rams and the Seahawks tied at plus 750 for the projected Super Bowl winner of Super Bowl 61. So if you want to get in on that over there on FanDuel, it's there. It's available. The Ravens are at plus 1,000. The Buffalo Bills plus 1,100. So just based on some of these other signings, Scott, do you think it's maybe a little bit too early, but there's going to be some jostling, I bet, with these odds. But hey, we'll see. But it's over there on FanDuel. Y'all check it out, and appreciate y'all being a sponsor of the show.
I tell you what, the Ravens, it feels like the pressure's been turned up there. I mean, you're giving up 2 1s, not something they ever do, right? Giving up first-round picks, let alone trading, that aggressively. That's a lot to give up. And obviously, they lose Linderbaum, their center today. They're going to have to redo Lamar's deal. But this just looks like they put a lot of pressure on this Baltimore team to deliver in year one for Jesse Minter. And for him as a defensive coach, he's got to be fired up to have Crosby in there. But they still have, to me, I don't know if people are going to make him the favorite or whatever, but they still got a lot of holes to fill too. And now some of them are being created by what's happening in free agency, So they usually draft well. They do a good job replenishing. And so you give them that trust, but there's still, I don't think it's a done deal that the conference is the Ravens just based off of the Max Crosby contract, or the Max Crosby trade, I should say.
Yeah, I will say this. There should be a whole line on which person is going to lead the AFC North in sacks. I think Myles Garrett would be the favorite, but Joe Burrow's I saw a meme. It was just so sad. It was like Joe Burrow got to be behind that Bengals offensive line. 6 games he has to play against TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and now Max Crosby. But
I know.
At least the Ravens are building up. Just making sure the defense is going to be solid, right? If you understand there may be some bumps and, some slow points on the offensive side, especially losing Linderbaum, you're trying to find your new groove, essentially. Bringing in a different offensive coordinator, changing up some things over there. They've always been built on defense, and I think Max Crosby, it's scary, frankly. Like, are these two teams Commanders are going to practice against them again? Because that's going to be fun to see. That's going to be a matchup. You want to see how people go up against Max Crosby because he brings it every single time. He's going to be a spark plug for that defense. At least they'll be able to create some pressure and get the ball back to Lamar. But I don't know. We'll see how they handle this whole division.
Yeah, it's a great division, and it also makes you wonder, like, if you're Pittsburgh, like, what you think you could have gotten for TJ Watt if you would have tried to move on from him last year when he was in the contract thing, right? I mean, you could have really probably done well for yourself. The Steelers things, I don't know. I'm not sure what they're doing. I mean, it sounds great. They got Pittman, they got DK Metcalf. Who's their quarterback? Is Aaron Rodgers? Are we going to go through this whole Aaron Rodgers offseason saga thing again, or are they going to actually get in the quarterback market and get somebody who will be there beyond just this upcoming season is what I'm fascinated to see. But anyway, as far as the Commanders are concerned, though, again, it is just day one of tampering. All right, so there is time. Even though everybody wanted them to come out with 5 signings right away to make so they could go on with their lives, but it's just because you're aggressive and want to spend money doesn't mean players are necessarily going to take it, or you're not going to be outbid by other teams. And I don't know if what the better alternative is, just get your guy no matter what the cost is, or would you rather make sure you got the right people, and at the right price. By the way, this is breaking. Mike Evans is going to be a 49er, according to Adam Schefter, 3 years with San Francisco for Mike Evans, where he would clearly be the number 1 receiver. So I'd imagine Jawan Jennings is definitely not going back there. And obviously the Brandon Ayuk situation, whenever they release him, that hasn't happened yet. So, for everybody waiting to see if Washington signs Ayuk, which there's still a lot of expectation that could happen, they can't yet because he has obviously not been released.
Man, they are going from one bay to the other. Golly, should strike him off my list. Mike Evans, good night. Congratulations to him. He's off my list. Okay. Well, we'll just sit back and wait and figure it out. Here's another thing. Mitchell Trubisky is going to Tennessee. That if anybody cares about that, that's we won't have him as a backup quarterback. But Mike Evans signed out there. I guess you could try to say they could bring back Jawan Jennings. You're right. Though probably won't happen. You got Rookie Pearsall over there as well. They just got to get people healthy, and stay healthy and figure out what's up with that electrical substation thing that's over there. But,
right.
Oh,
hopefully Mike Evans doesn't get caught up in the old electrical substation, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay, but that's a big haul right there because now he's going to be the most, and this will probably be one of Kyle's, probably biggest named receivers that he's had. Yeah, and no disrespect to who he's had, but with the career that Mike Evans has put together, this is probably going to be the most. He's obviously one of the bigger receivers that Kyle's been able to work with, and then to have somebody that's going to garner that much attention, it should be interesting to see if this is going to help San Francisco get over the hump, especially with Seattle. They're always going to have something ready for them, Scott. So I don't know. Congratulations to them. What else come through? Oh yeah, I'm checking all these notifications that pop up. It was just the Mike Evans news coming.
That's the latest big one. Yeah, that's the big one right there.
Man. The Tyler
that's the biggest
one.
I got a TV on in studio here, so I saw it on the.
Yeah, tell me this: which player did you not get? Kind of hurt. I don't say hurt you most, but kind of like, damn, you missed out on that one. For me, it's Lindenbaum. I think that you tried to set yourself up to say, hey, we've got this nice, pretty open seat right here, and he said no. He said no. Maybe he knows that the traffic in the DMV is too tough.
Yeah. I would say Jalen Phillips, just because if he wasn't going to be re-signed by the Eagles, I was hoping he was coming to Washington, and the fact that he goes to Carolina, that's a good contract for him. I would say that one, just because, again, my expectation was he was going to stay in Philly, and instead he leaves, and then he goes somewhere else in the NFC. And by the way, the Carolina defense could be nasty next year. I mean, really, really nasty. So we'll be interested to see if the Commanders are able to get any type of pass rush help here in the next few days, because they need it. I mean, I think there's still room, even if you get pass rush help in free agency, to do it in the draft in the first round too. I don't have a problem with that. They need a lot of things on all three levels, and see the way I look at it on defense. So, man, I'm actually surprised a little bit that Mike Evans is gone, though. The more I sit here and look at that, I really thought he was going to be one of those guys that was going to be a buck for life. I thought that was going to be his situation. By the way, one other thing with the Niners, are we sure that Trent Williams is still going to be on the team here in a few days when the league year opens? Because they still haven't settled out.
They said he could be traded, and that's, hey, Adam, be like, hey, man, I know we got a whole bunch of linemen already. I don't know. I'm just going mad and crazy.
Would he play center?
Oh, yeah, right. Put him in there, guard, center, Laremy Tunsil. So much swag on the offensive line. That'd be too much swag. You have to run the ball every freaking play, Scott. Just do it.
Absolutely.
The O-line will determine which way it goes, man. But let's get up out of here, man. Let's do it.
All right, we'll be back in a day or two when we'll have hopefully some more things to talk about and digest. But again, Laremy Tunsil being re-signed, very important, getting some secondary help. We'll see how that works out with Amik Robertson. But more to come. Again, day one, just, again, take a deep breath. It's just the first day of free agency, even though it's considered legal tampering period, but we all know it's really free agency. All right, for Anthony Armstrong, I'm Scott Jackson. Thanks for joining us here. Please like, comment, and follow us, and part of the Bleav Network. And we are brought to you by FanDuel. Thanks for joining us.